You know, when you have chickens that free range, there's always this fun game of finding the eggs when they lay them, because a lot of times they don't lay in the coop. So sometimes you're just standing in your yard and you look over and you see this in the weeds. How many do we have here, ladies? 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at this egg. What the heck? It's a long egg. Uh-oh, they're on to me. I know, girl. I'm going to leave a few, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm actually going to leave 2 so that they... Oh, there's another one there. So that they aren't freaked out and don't think like that they'll continue to lay here. Because this spot's actually easy for me to get to as opposed to some of the other locations they've chosen. So I'm going to just leave 2, take the ones I got, and leave her to go about her business. Hey everyone, welcome to Condo to Cottage, and today is another beautiful day here in August. It is August 24th, and the last time you saw me, this garden looked atrocious. It was looking like a hot mess. We had just gotten back from vacation. It was a week ago, and this garden had taken a beating between the tropical storm Isaias hitting up here and me being away for 2 weeks. It just was rough. So since then, first of all, thank you so much to people who sent photos and videos of their garden. You guys know who you are. You're awesome. It made me so happy to see other people's gardens and how they were doing after the storm that rolled through, and how they're doing in general this summer. So if you haven't yet, comment below with what your garden is looking like right now. Are you transitioning to fall? Are you starting to rip stuff out? Have you experienced any of these big hurricane tropical storm systems that are moving through? I mean, right now there is a Louisiana border is getting, or the coast is preparing for a doubleheader. So there is a lot of storm activity this year, and I think that that's definitely having an effect on some gardens. So hopefully you guys are faring well, and I would love to hear about it. So just comment below or send me some pictures, stuff like that. So let's take a look. What I wound up doing is I came out during this week in between work. I did have to rip out several plants. So I lost probably 3 whole tomato plants. I lost all my cucumbers. I ripped out an entire squash plant. I took my kale down to just stalks, and did a lot of trimming of dead stuff that there's still, every time I come out, I'm like, oh, this isn't looking so good. But I also, on the flip side of that, I was able to harvest several eggplants, and we processed them. So we cut them. I did like a vegan breading kind of, coating on them, and then we air fried them and froze them, so they're good. What we like to do is just take them out of the freezer, put a little bit of marinara sauce on them, or sauce if we make it, that would be great, and just a little bit of vegan cheese. We don't use the cheese too frequently, but it's really good, kind of like a vegan eggplant parm. So we did that with the eggplant. I was also able to plant some seeds and some seedlings, although some of them have not been doing so well since I planted them, but hey, that's okay, whatever. So I'm excited to show you guys. There is a storm rolling through, and I am now hearing thunder, which is so funny because I was just on the phone with my colleague, and she was like, oh man, it's storming so bad here. I'm like, oh, it's beautiful here. Come outside to do a video, and now I hear thunder. So hopefully I can get this video in. If not, it might be happening halfway through tomorrow. So anyway, let's take a look. So yeah, take a look at this hot mess. I mean, what on earth is happening here? I put a chair in here because the tomatoes were just all over the ground and we needed to weed whack. So I picked them up. It's actually helping a little bit. They're very hard to get to harvest because they're just so deep in there. So I either harvest from the other side of this netting, or I'm just like really trying to fit in there, and it's quite challenging. It's really just shocking to me how these cherry tomatoes grow on their own without any support. So they get they almost form like a net, like they form like a network, and they branch. You get like these big knobs, and then they branch like up and down from that, as opposed to just a straight thick stalk. You get just so many of these like runner type thin branches. I mean, look how thin some of these branches are. They're just really thin. So the way that tomatoes would naturally grow is apparently very different from how they grow when we are cultivating them ourselves. So I found that really interesting. That's my science brain. We have some strawberries that are actually producing again, which is kind of cool. Those are super yummy, and that's expected because we've had some nights here in the actually the high 50s we had last week, and the 60s. So perfect strawberry weather. So then this squash, I don't know if you recall, but this squash, I had one there that I pulled. So that stump, I pulled that guy. He was just totally dead. This one is unbelievable, and it had completely taken over this entire swath of like grass. So what I actually did was I ripped the cucumbers off of this trellis, and I just took that vine off the ground and I trellised it up. And I have to say, I'm really pleased with the outcome. I have a lot of nice healthy growth up there, and it's allowed the powdery mildew that was really bad, and it still is bad in some spots like this, but it allowed those areas to get air circulation, and so I don't have nearly as much of it. And I mean, I've got new growth coming in big time. So I'm really happy that I did not pull this plant out actually, and that it's actually surprisingly, sorry for the barking dogs, the UPS man drove by, the dog's arch nemesis. So I'm just really happy that I didn't pull this plant out, because I've got a lot of new growth on there, which is exciting, right up the trellis. So, and the bees and the butterflies have been loving these flowers, so that's fantastic. I do have some beans that are growing here, and you would not believe, I don't know if you recall, but I had beans under here that just got completely taken over by this insane vine. Well, they're back, and they have some flowers. So I didn't even pull them because I literally could not get to them. There's also some tomatoes taking over that I'm just going to get out of the way here. But these beans are kind of coming back a bit, just a little bit. That's okay. I didn't expect them to, so that's just a nice little surprise. So yeah, the beans here, these are purple potted pole beans, and I did just have to remind them that they have somewhere to trellis. So if you have beans growing, you might just need to do that. That's all you have to do. So then I have this tomato plant here. There's actually 3 of them, and they fell over, and I'm just gonna kind of guide them to go this way to take over the space that was that zucchini or that squash. So they're okay doing that. I have one eggplant here. Eggplant is doing well, got some flowers. And this ground cherry, which I had, this was the plant I didn't know what the heck it was. Well, it turns out it was a ground cherry, which I was super excited about. I only got one to actually germinate this year. And I have to say, so this is how the ground cherries, see if I can get this to focus, look. And they're like these little lanterns. And normally they fall on the ground, but this guy was just falling off. So you it's easier with 2 hands, but you break the lantern open and you get this little cherry, and they're super good. They're a little bit tart, but they're like a flavor I've actually never had in a fruit before. So very happy with that plant. I'm happy it finally grew. Another eggplant here that has definitely some flea beetle damage, but these flea beetles don't give up. Okay, and then here is where I planted new seeds that I am so excited. I actually have little germination. Those were not even out here this morning. I don't think I'm going to get a lot to germinate. I do see some green out here. I've got some cauliflower. This is broccoli. This is rutabagas. So I have two little rutabaga plants fighting. Let's see, this was some cauliflower and then some more broccoli, which I'm going to have to regrow because they were seedlings inside, but I think they all died when I planted them. So it's actually been a pretty dry week. So then we just have basil, and this lemon balm is pretty yucky looking, but it's still kicking. Tomatoes on our trellis. I did have to pull some two tomato plants here, but some of them the others are still looking okay. Still have some tomatoes on there. So if you look, this is the kale. This whole area a few months ago was lettuce and kale, and now the kale's completely gone. I just took it all the way down to stalk because it was totally taken over. It looked like Swiss cheese. Totally taken over by cabbage worms. When I was pulling them, I mean, there was just so many cabbage worms or cabbage leapers. I can't even remember which one they were, but it was disgusting. So yeah, that I'm going to just let them grow and see if because I have read that you can get kale down to stalk like that and that it will grow back. So if not, that's okay. I will replant, but I do actually see, let me see if I can get in there and show you. I do actually see like little tiny growth on there. So I think I'm in good shape. Okay, then over here, I had a lot of damage in this bed. And there's still a lot of dead leaves here to take off. I think one of these entire plants is dead. It's this guy. But like it's so convoluted down there that I don't want to take out stuff that's good. I've got to pick some tomatoes tonight. So I will get in there at some point and figure out what's going on. But for now, it is what it is. My zinnias have been attracting so many beautiful hummingbirds and butterflies. There's been monarchs and swallowtails. So loving the zinnias right now. I'm so happy I planted them there at the front of the garden. If you guys recall, I had such an issue with this squash plant, and I know it still looks like a hot mess. Oh, the UPS guy's back. Look at Ted being a tough guy. Oh, honey. He's not afraid of you, babe. And Lulu barking inside. So this plant here actually took advantage of the stuff I pulled out of the garden, and it's sprawled, and in the morning these flowers are all bloomed. I do have some pretty severe powdery mildew on some of these leaves, so I am going to just prune this up some more, but it's like having a second wave. And I do have some squash, so I might pick this guy because they're like turning into pumpkins, which is really interesting. But this one actually seems like it's perfect, so I might pick that guy. But there's some more growing in there as well. So although that's green and they normally start as yellow, so this plant has been weird from the get-go. It has been like growing pumpkins instead of scallop squash. Don't know what's up with that. So this tomato patch was the one that I really pared down. I mean, there's a lot of empty space in there. This was a jungle before. You couldn't even see through it at all. And I still have this whole plant that I'm going to have to pull. Just more has died over the last week. But the stuff that's still there actually looks surprisingly healthy. Nice green color. And there's still a lot of blossoms, which I was super excited this morning. I noticed that I still have a ton of blossoms, which means potential for more fruit. So I don't think this guy's done giving me some tomatoes, so that's great. And I did have to restake most of them. They were totally falling over, but they rebound really fast, so they did. These tomatoes on this trellis, again, I did wind up pulling a lot, but it's looking okay. I do have some leaf curl happening on this plant particularly. I don't know why. I have not fertilized or done anything to actually treat this plant in a long time, but now that the sun's not blazing, you can kind of see the color. If it will focus on this tomato here, the color of this tomato, it's like a yellow bottom and a purple top, and it's really neat, and they taste delicious, but it's just been tricky with the winds picking up. I wonder how much time I have before it starts downpouring. It's been tricky to tell if they're ripe or not. See, like this tomato, which is growing in my marigolds, is totally overripe and rotten now because it's just a hard thing to catch it in time before it's too ripe. So I'm just going to throw it to the chickens. There you go, girl. Oh, they all came running. Sorry, lovies, I don't have more for you right now. I will find more rotten fruit, I'm sure. I always do. So those tomatoes are looking okay. And then this marigold, which is just very tall, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful plant. It's like really huge though. It's kind of invasive. It's actually split my basil into 2 patches. Behind here, oh, look at the little bee. Happy on the basil. That makes me happy. Behind here are eggplants, and I only have a few left that I think will produce. I mean, that one has some flowers on it over there. And then these are all peppers, and the peppers, oh my goodness, the chickens destroyed so many peppers. So while I was working out here trying to get stuff out of the garden that was rotten, they were just having a field day coming in this little gap over here. So I put a chair up and kind of mended that part of the fence a little bit, and it's helping. But yeah, see, that one's rotten. There you go, Whitey. Here, girls. Oh boy, one of the babies, the COVID's got it. She's a big girl now. She can fight the other ones off. So yeah, look at this one pepper. Finally got some peppers that are not being eaten by chickens and are starting to turn red. All of these are supposed to turn red, but let me tell you, they don't look like they want to. So those are the nadapinos. I don't know what's happening on the outside of them, but that's okay. And then these are my Mira peppers, those like white, yellowish, cream yellow ones. Those are supposed to be really yummy too. So that is this garden bed. So it definitely looks like a lot less going on in the grand scheme of things. But as I'm pulling stuff out, I am planting new stuff. And now that it's the end of August, the new stuff that I will be planting is going to be lettuce. My plan is also to put frost fabric over where I have my stuff that will carry through, that's frost hardy, so that I can preserve it and grow it for as long as possible. Check out that tomato plant. And that tomato plant. This is fun. It's like a game. Find all of the random tomato plants because there are just so many. These beautiful zinnias. The birds and the hummingbirds have just loved them. So, right, girls? Ducky. I think that this one is the one I just named Rainbow because I don't know if you can see. Wow, look how empty the garden looks from this side. Okay, so this rainbow has iridescent feathers. And so does, they all do, the COVIDs, but that one over there, these two are just like gigantic. You can't tell in the video, but comparison to their sister. All right, so I took the netting down from here because it was just like a jungle and I was just having a tough time getting in there, and I might regret that decision because the chickens can really do some damage. But basically what they're doing right now is they hop up and then they I have video of it, I believe. They hop and they get the low-hanging fruit. But there's already established stuff in here, so they shouldn't try and do a dust bath too badly in this area. So I think it's okay. I might totally regret this decision, but you know, you live and you learn. These are 2 potato plants or 3 potato plants. The rest are all basically tomatoes, except for I do have some beans growing. So there's a bean plant there and the bean plants up here. And these are actually looking nice. Got some actual beans on there. Look at these pretty flowers and baby beans. Those are purple potted pole beans, and they're just a string bean variety. I am going to pick as many of the tomatoes as I can before this rain comes in, because rain plus ripe tomatoes equals split tomatoes. So pick your tomatoes before it rains. I accidentally dropped one of the tomatoes that I just picked, and it split, and now it's chicken food. It's sad, but also I kind of, well, look at her, she just ran right away with it. I'm okay with it. We've had so many yummy tomato sandwiches. In another chicken update, Jimmy is still broody. Girlfriend will not quit. She is still determined to have herself some babies, which we are not getting for her because we are not expanding our flock at this time. Well, because we have 13 chickens and we don't even eat their eggs because we're vegan. So our kids eat the eggs. But not necessarily looking to add more chickens to our flock with the small amount of land that we have. So Jimmy is just dedicated. For those of you who are not familiar, Jimmy is our resident broody mama hen. She is named Jimmy because our children, our 2 boys, named most of our chickens boy names when we got them because they couldn't comprehend that the chickens were female. But anywho, the name stuck. So Jimmy stays up in the roosting box most of the day, but I will show you something really funny that happens that makes me know that she's not super serious about being broody. I'll just show you now. It's a little fun. All right, so this is how I know Jimmy's not so serious about being broody. Girls, go. You know where this is going. Jim. There she goes. Comes running down. Right, Jim? You're not that serious. You're willing to give up a few minutes with the eggs for the seeds. All right, you guys. So thanks so much for watching. I hope that you guys are having a lovely end of August and that you're looking forward to your fall garden. Remember, you're not done growing. I know that you tried, you know, to it's been a tough season. And you might have tried to tell yourself you're done, but you're not. You still have lettuces to grow this late fall and all sorts of stuff. So you're not done yet. Don't give up. Don't give up. So let me know in the comments below how your garden is doing, or send me videos, send me pictures. I love, love, love being inspired by you guys and seeing all the stuff you're growing. Perfect timing. It is starting to rain on my head right now, but I wanted to show just the garden from this angle. It looks pretty cool. I never get to show that angle. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.